Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John. This is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Hello, everybody.
Watcher.
It's been another week.
It is another week.
I play games.
You've
I actually played a game this time.
Yeah.
I played a game and enjoyed it as well.
A game, singular.
Okay, it's a singular.
I don't think you're pulling your weight. I played two games. Yeah. Well, I played 3 games. I can talk about 2 or 3, depending.
We'll see how we go.
We should probably have come up with a running order before we started recording.
Yes.
Professionals. I'm going to talk about Remember Me. Do you remember that?
I remember Me.
Yeah. Not a new game necessarily.
Fantastic soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm just casting around in Steam and thinking, oh yeah, I played that. Because, you play, particularly with these intensely story-based sort of third-person action-adventure type things, it does sort of play out like a movie, and you get to the end, you think, done with that, put it away, don't really come back to it. And so I only played it once. And it would have been a 30 quid game or something like that, 15 quid, whatever. And it's a criminal waste if you only play those things once. So I dug it out, had another go. Very good. I've just totally forgotten how brilliant it was. Awesome in every regard.
A lot of people hated it.
I don't understand why.
I really liked it. It had some fantastic things in it.
So there's a lot going for it. So you got this fantastic sort of Neo-Paris 2400s thing going on. A
gorgeous-looking Neo-Paris.
A gorgeous one. Yeah, you got all the sort of traditional Parisian landmarks because, you don't know it's Paris unless there's an Eiffel Tower in there. But in amongst it all, you've got all these arcologies in the background and sort of high-tech Blade Runner-style slums down the beginning, down in the bottom of it all and everything as well. The character design is really good. The motion capture amazing. There's some very good voice work in there, and that's not necessarily a given. That's quite a rarity these days.
You see the motion capture of the game I played.
Okay, it's a very good technical combo beat 'em up type shoot. Well, it's not shooter. Yeah, you get a sort of shooty weapon, but it's really not about gunplay.
It's a combo beat 'em up. Third person job.
Absolutely,
with a fantastic combo customization.
Yes, you define your own. You basically unlock these little bubbles that you slot into the combo, whether you want it to, and then each kick or punch during that combo can do different things depending on what it needs. And indeed, the game does pretty much seize up if you don't experiment with those as you go. It does force you to adapt those during fights. And you can do that between one hit and the next. You can open up the window and change the slotting of those. So
if it's not working, you can just fix stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Although then if you die, then your fixing up goes away, which is really annoying.
Yeah. Then you got this intricate memory sort of remixing mini game going on as well, which is every so often an important plot person needs their memories rewriting, which is your special power, your memory hunter. And you end up having this sort of quite intricate puzzle game where you're sort of stepping through something they remember and then altering key aspects of what they remember so that the memory itself plays out differently. Yeah. And that can totally change their mind, which then brings all sorts of interesting sort of deep philosophical musings on the nature of who and what you are. I mean, if you are the total of your memories, how easy is it to change who you are? I mean, at one point, you ruthlessly rewrite the memories of a bounty hunter who's coming to try and kill you and take you in. You manage to sort of grapple them and do the rewriting their memory thing, and suddenly they get up and they're your best buddy and they're sort of immediately on your side. I'm
not entirely sure at that point you are the good guy.
No, that's so horrific and abusive when you think about it fully. It's really good, and you got got a likable character there, and there's hiddens to thing. There's a lot of parkouring, jumpy puzzles. There's not jumpy puzzles as such because it's always sort of showing you little arrows on what ledges to go for next, but liberally interspersed with interesting cutscenes going through it all. And you say it wasn't popular.
No, a lot of people didn't like it because it was new and different.
I don't know.
Starred a lady and whatever other reasons.
Oh, is it that again? Is it strong female character?
I think so.
Don't like that. Fear for the future of the patriarchy. Whatever. I really liked it. So I'm playing through, got through the first bit. You wake up in this sort of memory wiping punishment facility, and it's the protagonist with no memory of who you are type, a cold open
again,
which works very well for games. That's the problem, isn't it? Because if you are taking over another person's volition and activity and drive and objectives and so on, you're sort of jumping straight into an adventure where you are somebody, and you can't very well have this vast amount of expositional back reading you need to go through so that you can properly empathise with the method, playing these games as method acting. So it works very well if you just jump straight in, and your character conveniently can't remember anything about themselves either. So that it seems to come up a lot in gaming because that seems to work well with the sort of meta situation you find yourself in when you're doing it. But you do then have to sort of work your way around escaping into the slums, finding your feet, getting your gear and abilities back, and then taking the offensive against the overbearing corporate regime as usual. So a sort of resistance tale going on there as well. Quite interesting stuff. I'd forgotten a lot of it, so that's quite good. Remember me, forgotten it, see?
Yeah.
Probably something clever there. But,
No,
no.
cleverer than us.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's something you can put a chapter or two in, and then suddenly I look up and a couple of hours are gone, and I've really sort of lost track of time and have been really drawn into it. I'm really in the mood for a good, well-told narrative action adventure, because I don't really watch much telly or films and stuff. These are my films, this style of gaming. And it's good to just dig one of these out and have a real good go at it again. So there's a load of Steam achievements I missed the first time round, but a lot of those are play it in stupid, insane mode. And
have you been achievement hunting?
Not really, no. I mean, I'll keep an eye on the list and see if anything looks like it's coming up as I'm going through, but I just lose track of what I'm supposed to be doing. And a lot of them are play it in a completely different way that's not the way you're meant to, that you would naturally play this thing. So I just keep forgetting and don't get dragged into the achievements at all. But playing through that. I'm going to go all the way through to the end again, and I think I sort of vaguely remember how it all turns out at the end, but it doesn't matter. It's a glorious journey, very stylish, very good. Like I say, the soundtrack's fantastic, very clean design with the UI and everything. It's got so much going for it that I can't imagine why it wasn't bigger than it was.
There was one bit where you had to jump into the screen over a collapsing roof or something.
Oh,
that's the reason.
There's a few.
I'm blaming it all on that.
There are a
bit.
few quick time events, certainly. Some of the bigger boss fights, when you actually end up getting their health down to minimum through your usual combo beat 'em up gameplay, it cuts into press these buttons as it goes through the cinematic to leap on their head and pull their memories out through the back of their necks and stuff. Those can be a bit irritating, and I suppose just the sort of. If you're not into beat 'em up combo fighting,
you're probably going to be a bit disappointed.
or parkour, then both of those things will probably put you off. But it does those things very well. I have no real opinion one way or the other about Paris of the 24th or 5th century. So, but it's a very nice environment to be capering around in. I'm enjoying it a lot. So over to you.
I'm going to talk about a game called Late Shift.
Okay.
Do you remember last year I played a game called The Bunker?
Bunker, yeah. That was a big cinematic thing.
Big cinematic FMV game. A guy stuck in a bunker on his own, doing repetitive jobs each day because he had to do it to keep the bunker going, and then stuff happens. Mm-hmm. Well, this is by either the same people or the same publisher. I'm not quite sure. But this is a story about a guy who works late nights to pay his way through college in a car park in London.
Okay.
One for very expensive cars.
Right.
So basically, it's underneath somebody's apartment, or an apartment block or something, and he parks the cars and looks after them, makes sure nothing bad happens to them. And quite early on, he encounters a man trying to break into here to steal a car.
Right.
And
getting a sort of urban gritty reality thing about it all.
Man has gun.
Oh,
man
God.
takes guy prisoner because he needs him to drive, and then poor guy gets taken into caught up in the conspiracy to steal a rice bowl.
A rice bowl.
A very expensive rice bowl, which is up for auction.
Okay, with you so far.
Yeah, and it's all FMV.
Yeah,
and it's basically you keep having to make choices.
Okay.
So it's very much a Telltale game, but full FMV.
Oh, right.
And because of that, it works a hell of a lot better. It's decently acted, high production quality, lots and lots of... You know how the bunker was in one location?
Yeah.
This has outside bits, driving bits, bits in auction houses, bits in hotels.
So I suppose with that larger open environment, there's a lot less in the way of freedom of action, of going where you like.
Oh, there's no actual free...
Because if you're in a smaller bunker with a set amount of places, you could probably open that up a bit more as a standard adventure explore type thing. Whereas...
This has something like 19 scenes in total.
Okay.
When I played for, I think I only got 7 of them, and there's 7 different endings.
Mm.
And so you get lots of choices, like do you try and run away now, do you comply, are you a bit lippy now, are you agree to go along with them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it ends up being a really nice story, which I'm going to have to play again several more times to get the other endings, because the ending I got did not quite go well for him. And I really enjoyed it.
Okay. It sounds quite limited. I mean, 19 scenes. So presumably you have a binary choice at each junction. Does it branch quite a lot?
At the start it doesn't, but towards the end it does a lot more. Because at the start you can't, because you need to get down. Certain events have to happen. Unless one of those endings is, and then nothing happened because you missed the entire story
he just walked
hiding
straight
under
out.
a chair.
Yeah. It sounds. I suppose it's pushing on the edge of the definition of game. I suppose
not really, because
interactive movie.
You compare it to Telltale games, which are exactly
I've not played any of
which are
those,
exactly the same thing.
Really,
but with computer graphics.
Oh, I was assuming those were more of a sort of LucasArts adventure type.
They
thing.
used to be, but
I should probably play a Telltale game.
Now, okay,
I haven't played any of them.
They have a bit of moving around and stuff. But it's basically just a narrative where you're making conversation choices, and then a bit of a padding thing to make it look more like a game.
I did wonder, because they do rush a lot of those out quite frequently. I'd have to try one, I think.
I haven't tried. Actually, I haven't played a lot of them recently because my patience for them got really
almost
low.
every game or TV show seems to have a Telltale tie-in these days, including other games. Borderlands Telltale Adventure.
Yeah.
What?
That's sitting on my
very meta.
That's sitting on my Xbox, tempting me to actually get around to thinking it's worth playing.
But I've never actually gotten around to playing any of them, mostly because I'm just not really a point-and-click adventure sort of person these days. But apparently they're not.
No, they're not point-and-click adventures.
Right. I don't know. I mean, just from the sounds of it, I'm sceptical.
It's good.
It's an interesting media thing.
Your first playthrough will be a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And if it's just a couple of hours, then what you've done there is basically gone to see a movie.
Gone to see a movie, except every so often you get to vote on what happens next.
Sort of.
Yeah.
No, it's not that cynical.
I don't know.
It's a lot more. Okay, and also you could probably just leave. What happens if you leave it running?
Does it eventually pick one for you?
Yeah, because they're all timed.
They're all timed.
Ones. So if you just leave it running, I wonder what happens.
It's essentially, it is a film at that point, yeah. I don't know. It sounds like you don't have a great deal of agency.
No, you don't have a great deal of agency, but you don't have a great deal of agency in any game. You have the illusion of agency in most games.
Well, I don't know. Perhaps I'd like to be bamboozled a bit more thoroughly then. I don't know. It sounds a bit stark.
I'm playing this and Thimbleweed Park at the same time, which very much opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
In the old adventure type.
So, Thimbleweed Park and your LucasArts stuff compared to this, is the proper adventure game just that experience, but with a great deal many more ways to get things wrong? Is this just the same sort of story, but with less dead ends? If you want to reduce it down,
you probably could reduce it down to that, but I don't think that would be being fair to either games.
I suppose,
because any game is just. Any AAA,
I suppose if you're enjoying
any AAA
the
game is a bunch of cutscenes with a bit of gameplay sticking together now.
Yeah, but surely that gameplay has to count for something. The basic business of, say, Remember Me, for example, doing the combo fighting or the parkouring around the city. But then the parkouring is very detailed and elaborate, but ultimately there are very limited routes through each place, and they're often sort of pointed out with little arrows.
Well, if you take, say, a David Cage game. One of his games is very heavy on the story and not so great on the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
People play them because of the story, and also people are mad. Whereas something like Doom, which was all gameplay and very little story that mattered, because they just cut out all the story that didn't matter.
Yeah.
There's room for both in this world, and so options to play something like Mass Effect on easy, where it's just basically rattling through the cutscenes, or people who sit down and watch the cutscenes.
Andromeda has
YouTube.
a story mode, doesn't it? Which essentially is almost negligible fighting and combat gameplay.
3 had a similar thing.
Yeah.
That's no different. People want these stories, and if you just want a story and you want a bit of interaction on it,
I suppose if
you want a guided story,
start really drilling down and analysing what gameplay actually is in a great many examples of things we play a lot of, we'll probably be quite startled and worried by how little we actually need to do.
Take Halo.
Most MMOs, MMO combat, full stop.
Yeah,
it's watch the little clocks along the bottom, push the number when the little clock has finished, and keep making sure you tab another new target each time. And sometimes you have to do it combos. Sometimes you have to get out of the way, action combat, which sometimes don't stand in the red
Halo,
thing.
Gears of War, Uncharted,
Yeah.
any of those games. It is here's your story bit cutscene.
Yeah.
You now have to kill your way to this next point.
Now move your cursor over these things and press the mouse button a number of times until the next bit of story is. Oh God!
And then do this next cutscene.
I think we're quite close to breaking me from gaming forever.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the conversation before the show was a bad one.
Perhaps then we should be looking at these things in terms of experience.
Yes.
Are we enjoying this thing?
Yeah, exactly. That's all that matters. A game can be
Doesn't matter how
clicking on a
technically
cookie.
technically
clicker.
undemanding. It doesn't matter how technically undemanding it is, as long as you're enjoying the process.
Yeah, that is
or
all
the
that
journey
matters.
through it.
The whole is it a game argument does not matter. Is it a walking simulator? Does not matter. Did you play it and did you feel it was worthwhile to play it? Did you feel you got something out of it?
Yeah, and conversely,
And
if you're
that's all
not enjoying it,
Then why bother playing?
and often
was
MMO gaming, you're not enjoying it because you're putting up with it because you think of some greater over goal is the actual thing.
Or you've put enough hours in that you think I've put enough hours into this now.
The sunk cost fallacy thing. Yeah, exactly. Oh God, 2,000 hours. Better keep going. Nearly there. Yeah.
If you compare, say, okay, 2 games I've lifetime subs for. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Played that for the story. The moment there was no more story, I didn't really want to play it just for the content. Against Star Trek Online, don't care about the story. It's stupid, made up Star Trek bollocks.
Made up Star Trek.
Yeah, it's not real Star Trek.
Not real Star Trek. Yeah.
But I quite like the space combat, so I will go back and play that.
Okay.
I enjoy the minute to minute on the space combat.
Yeah, well, those. I mean, yeah, like I say, those examples are interesting. I mean, I found the story quite irritating in Lotro, but quite enjoyed the overall exploring this large Tolkien-esque world.
Yeah,
which had been fairly well realised.
The first 50 times starting around Hobbiton is really
I
fantastic.
could deliver pies all day, yeah. But yeah, then you go off into zones that don't appear in the books, and it's all standard MMO nonsense. But the story got quite irritating. Just the number of the obvious and difficult, tortuous lengths they had to go to try and make you the hero of Lord of the Rings, which is patently absurd unless you are literally Frodo.
Yeah,
that you've got no business being there, but somehow they have to let you be your own character and still be really, really important in the story of Lord of the Rings.
There are a whole load of people of Lord of the Rings who come in for a bit and then go away again.
Well,
and you could do their bits in the bits when they're not being important.
It's always me. I'm the hero. That's the whole point of these games. And so, yeah, you've got this weird B story going on where you're always over that next hill killing a load of orcs so that they don't stumble over the hill and attack the Fellowship. And it's basically a massive, great long story of what might have beens and near misses averted by you and your gang, you know. And then the Star Trek Online thing, I was playing a little bit of that recently. I finished the Delta Quadrant. I was about 2 or 3 missions away.
Isn't it always the way?
Yeah, and then I thought, right, and I'm bored of this now. It didn't last long, my revisit to Star Trek Online. The combat's interesting enough, you know. I like the gameplay, like I say, the sort of broadsiding combat, but you can get that in quite a few other places nowadays. And the whole, it was the Iconians again. It's like,
It's the Iconians which have the biggest problem.
Now I find myself on the Iconian War set of episodes, which as far as I can tell seems to largely just be Denise Crosby doing all the heavy lifting with the voice work with this Empress Sealer thing. I don't know, whatever. Because she got killed quite famously. Yeah. Tasha Yar in Generations. But apparently there was some reason that she'd get to be back in it and be a Romulan this time.
There was a rather suspect,
some weird
very Gene
clothing.
Roddenberry style woman being very subservient to a man who had assaulted her.
Whenever
you look at any female relationship in Star Trek,
they're all abusive.
They were all very suspect up until you get to a point and then they start to be normal again. That point is pretty much around the time when Gene Roddenberry dies.
Yeah, so we've oh look, it's Denise Crosby. Hello, Empress Sealer or whoever you're supposed to be. We got to capture you, and now we're off to go and look at the Iconians. And there. So I gave up. There was another Dyson Sphere. I think it's 3 now.
Wow.
Bloody things are everywhere.
They make one every time it comes on TV.
Yeah, and that's just one episode, wasn't it? Yeah. With like a hot. That was the one where Scotty was caught in a transporter beam for like 80 years.
The point of the episode was Scotty comes back to an episode, not there is a Dyson Sphere in the background.
Yeah, the whole point. Yeah, it was just an episode to let Scotty cameo on Next Generation. But yeah, there happened to be a Dyson Sphere, and so now that's basically I just get it's Lotro and Star Trek Online. They're so desperate to hook into the proper lore and be a part of the canon, and
they got to get their little feet tendrils in.
So they start coming up with this unlikely side story stuff that just gets really tedious, and I gave up in the end. I just
don't blame you.
Whatever, I'll play Elite Dangerous for a bit instead. So I've completely forgotten what we were talking about. But the idea that you would play something because you're not enjoying it, and yet that could have technically high and excellent gameplay.
Yeah.
So
how many games
compared to, for example, your 19 choices FMV 2-hour extravaganza, which you're obviously enjoying.
Yeah. How many games have you played which are excellent, which you got to the end of them and thought, okay, I'm going to stop playing this now?
Yes.
Every AAA game.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, pretty much. You get to the end of the story and there's not really enough gameplay to make you want to immediately start again and do the whole thing again.
Possibly the best game ever made story-wise is Uncharted 2.
Okay.
Got to the end of that.
Take your word for that.
Had no desire to start at the beginning again and try that again a bit differently.
That same thing happened to me with Tomb Raider, the 2013 reboot one. Got to the end of that, finished it, done. Yeah. And it was a fantastic game.
Oh, and that game even leaves you with an open world where you can go do stuff.
Yeah, you can go and find all the hidden GPS whatnots, and yet the gameplay was brilliant. There's like stealth gameplay, a lot of good stuff with bows and just parkouring and stuff. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, got to the end, I thought, no, I just done. The story is so the whole experience has a start and an end, and was so complete that it would just be ridiculous to immediately begin it again. Because why? It'd be like getting to the end of watching a film of an evening and then just going to the start, press play again. Watch the same film 3 times in a row. Do some people do that?
Yeah.
Literally back to back. Not even go away and come back with some friends.
No, I have done it before, back in the day when I thought that DVD commentaries were a good idea.
No, you were not watching the same
No, I was not watching the same content. And even then...
You're watching 2 different films, one with some background commentary, and which further explains what you were
Older, wiser me has discovered that director commentary is a bunch of arse.
Yeah. So the idea that, I suppose, a 2-hour press X to choose a different thing every 10 minutes game is not fun, or not a game is not right. It's all to do with the self-contained experience. And I think the thing that a lot of MMOs, and perhaps a lot of just, lobby games, things like, I don't know, Counter-Strike or whatever, the idea that your experience should have a definite start and end. Whereas much of modern game design, I suppose, MMOs specifically, but I think a lot of games as well, anything that has an online matchmaking type aspect, multiplayer, that they're designed with the idea that, well, we're not really going to have a start and an end. We'll have a start, but we won't really have an end. We're just going to keep people going round and round and round and round until they're utterly sick of this thing. And hopefully, as each time they go round, they might think about giving us some money.
If they keep you in a hub world as well, in between, then you know that they're trying to make you get out of that mentality of, I'm going to hit random deathmatching. I'm going to play a couple of games, then I'm going to go off and have some dinner.
That's all right. We don't need to give them any content at the top end, because they can just keep going round and round in factional PvP or whatever.
But that's fine.
Or raiding.
That's fine. If you take what Call of Duty or Halo or any of those games, Counter-Strike, any of those two, which is to say, okay, we're going to get people. They might play 1 game a week. They might play 1 game a month. They might play 100 games a week. Or 100 games a day, but we don't care, because some people are going to want it more, some people are going to want it less.
I suppose it's wrong to expect they being whoever's the author of these experiences, to necessarily be the ones that define the experience's length. Yeah. Perhaps it's up to us. Perhaps we need to decide when we've had enough.
There is a definite trend over the last decade with the online stuff to make it so that they don't give you nice breakpoints where you can stop.
They don't want you to leave.
Yeah,
ever.
There's a breakpoint when you think, right, okay, I've done this now, and I can go off and do stuff. In Call of Duty, it's Donf, this match is finished, and you're at this point, it's ticking down to play the next one, and you think, okay, now I'm going to break and stop.
Yeah, Guns of Icarus does that. We're playing that on the Fridays. So when you finish a match, it will just automatically queue you for the next one, forever.
But then there are the games like Destiny and Division, where you get out of a game, and then there's stuff you've got to do with your loot.
Yeah,
you need to go off and
the processing, the downtime.
Yeah, you got to go off and do this stuff you loot. So you could quit now, or you could go work on your loot so it's ready for your next game. But then you might as well just sign up for another game and play another one and do another round.
Yeah, I think we're very bad, I know I am, but quite bad at judging when an experience is finished. That's the thing. We always stay a little bit longer. We always sign up for the next weird currency they add for gear or whatever. We always want to do that a little bit more, and it can sour experiences, because the whole idea of leaving wanting more is something that not many of us have the patience, I suppose, or self-control to apply to our own experiences. I don't know. Maybe I'm transferring on everyone else here, but
also just ask the listeners.
Yes. Well, see what you think.
Yeah. So, Late Shift or whatever the game's called. It's been so long since it's been longer since I played it now than since we started talking it.
That's not a good sign. If you can spend longer talking about it than it takes to play.
It is good. It has high production values of an indie film. It's written by, I think, the guy who wrote the first Sherlock Holmes movie, the Guy Ritchie one.
Oh, right.
I could be wrong on that. I think it was that one. So it is well written, reasonably well acted. Nice. It seemed nicely paced the way I played it, because I was making choices, and my choices were sort of pace related. There tends to be a ramp it up a bit, take it down a bit options.
Is the expectation that you go through it in one sitting, or save game, come back another day,
It's
carry
short.
on?
It's short enough that I think one sitting is probably more than
You'd
reasonable.
go at it like
But
watching a
you
film.
don't have to, I don't think. I think you can go away and come back. So I didn't, because I was quite enjoying the story, because it's quite interesting.
Fair enough.
Although now on my second playthrough, I don't know what...
Do you want the second playthrough? This is the whole old Paragon playthrough, Renegade playthrough.
Well, no, because
isn't it?
I know there's a lot of stuff that I didn't see. Because I found out about the robbery and how the robbery went down and
But
whatnot.
no, that's the whole point.
There's these branch points where if I change that robbery, then a lot of the stuff after it is no longer valid.
Yeah. But does that necessarily make it a different film? And should you be searching for like 8 or 9 parallel films that diverge halfway through? Or should you just play through using, the way you really think you should choose each time, role play it up, whatever, and then get to the end and think, no, that's enough. That is the film for me.
I think that's very valid, but I think there's also a what could have happened aspect.
Because I find this whole
what I want to know is what happens if I play along?
Yeah.
If I go full in on this job?
Well, yeah. I mean, it gives you an opportunity to explore. I suppose you could sort of wish... That's a certain degree of wish fulfillment if you're watching normal films and wanting to see how they pan out if a major character made a different choice.
Every time you're watching Midsummer Murders and just shouting at Barnaby.
Midsummer Murders is your go-to example, is it?
Of the best narrative in media, yes.
But those pivotal key plot moments in major films, the
Make
idea
a Midsummer Murders game, someone.
The idea that, I'm sure Telltale are working on it, the idea that you could go back in time, force the film back in time and then make a change, like the memory remixing in Remember Me, and then watch the rest of the film play out if pivotal thing didn't suddenly go wrong or did go right. But I suppose, does that detract from the author's intent? The author whoever's written this film has written a story, and here's how it plays out. And the idea that, well, I'm not going to make any decisions. I'll put all the decisions into this artwork.
You have your author's intent, and if your author's intent was to have a branching narrative, that is the author's intent. It's not something that happens accidentally.
It seems lazy to me. You decide what the plot does. I can't be bothered.
By the way, at that point, he decided...
Look, here's all the options.
At that point, he decided to murder someone, so... I suppose I have to write this story in case he doesn't.
But I do find the sort of propensity to the red and blue morality meter double ending game a bit cynical in terms of we can sell it as being twice as long replay value. The whole full chaos mode.
That is truly the worst example of this kind of
particularly
narrative.
when you're looking at a BioWare sort of Jedi meter, light and dark force or whatever. You're basically going to play through. Most people play through light side good, play the good option or whatever, and they'll play through, get to the end and be happy with that. And some people, twisted malcontents like yourself, will play through as the evil option and get to the end and think, yes, that was a good story. That's it. But
then I'll go play the boring one.
Well, you think that'd be the boring one, whereas I'll find myself quite uncomfortable having to force myself to make be mean to kittens throughout the story.
He kicks a guy through a plate window in the top of a tower.
Oh God, that's straight out of Mass Effect. Yeah,
that is Mass Effect.
But what you'd end up doing is, we get twice as much playthrough because you can go through and make all the different choices this time, and there'll be choices that you're just not happy with making generally, or quite uncomfortable making. Or if they don't make you uncomfortable making the opposite choice, then the choice probably didn't matter a damn in the first place. So either way, you've got everyone touting it being twice as long. The game's twice as long.
That's the problem, because these aren't branching narratives. The Mass Effects of this world, they are. All that changes is a reaction to you.
And then
it's a score.
That feeds into the
it's
final...
It's a little meter that ticks across. And because of the way the meter works, you either go all out one way, all out the other way, or don't bother.
Because you're punished for not specialising. Yeah. Because and you're the idea that your moral outlook is a kind of character specialisation, which should have appropriate stat bonuses or whatever. And typically, if you have a rational, balanced, reasonable outlook on the world, where you judge each case on its individual merits against actual expediency and practicality, you'll end up slap bang in the middle probably, or a little bit one way or the other, and you'll get nothing and no unlocks.
Or the best one in Mass Effect, we've all done it. That bit where you do something, you pick an option, and realise, hang on, that's not what I wanted him to do.
That's not what I said.
That is not the good option. That cannot be the good option. How is that the good option?
Well, when you apply interpretation to it as well, that's insane. Yeah, but.
Like how was it the good option that he went around telling every single person on the promenade that it was his favourite store?
Yeah, that's a Paragon option. Yeah. Shilling out to the man for coin. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I get to the point these days where I'm just not even remotely interested in the other playthrough anymore, the obligatory other playthrough, because yet I'll still come away from the end of it feeling quite anxious that I've missed a load of content that I paid for.
If the game's good enough, the other playthrough will be the one I do 2-3 years down the line.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I have got this sort of mouldering Mass Effect trilogy Renegade playthrough that's sort of bogged down halfway through the second one, and I'm just not feeling it. I just don't like being that mean to everyone,
Yeah.
So,
also, it's Mass Effect. So.
Well, quite. Yeah, so I suppose... Yeah, morality means not quite the same as the sort of branching storyline.
No, they're completely different things. And if this was a morality, if all your options were, I'm going to do the good thing here, then sometimes I shall call the police, I shall play along, but other times it's I shall try and be subtle, or I shall be direct. And
do you get an achievement for uncovering all the endings? That annoys me.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. Well, then that's a whole another problem as well. Achievement driving gameplay.
We don't criticise people for their previous addictions to achievements.
Fair enough. I've got a terrible achievement score. I'm on Steam though. I don't even know.
I've got a terrible one on Steam. So it turns out I don't actually play that many games on Steam. I play more good old games and places and old games I already own. And
so that backfired as a unique selling point.
Yeah. Also, then you get the badges on Steam, which is what ruins because the cards, selling cards like badges.
Cards are still a thing?
That is why they're so.
I get the obligatory 4 inventory pop-ups within 10 minutes of playing any new title, and I just learned to ignore them now.
Yeah, I have to, because if you sell them, all you're doing is you're encouraging the market, which is the reason why all of the really rubbish shovelware games are on Steam. Because
they're all worth 11 pence.
The cards is how these stupid games make their money. Because
I can't believe there's that many people who buy into that and actually work the Steam level thing.
Apparently they do. It's big. It's a reasonable source of income for games. Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, don't play cards. Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I like this game. It is very good. It is very enjoyable. It is not one that I'm going to be repeatedly play for the next 6 months because it's not that kind of game, but it was really enjoyable, really, really well made. And the problem with playing these games, I had the same problem with The Bunker, is any games I play after it, I look at the cutscenes, I think, wow, these are so amateurish. Not the animation, it's just the acting and the direction. And just God, how little effort goes into a cutscene from a artistic point of view rather than a technical point of view.
Because I don't watch many films, cutscenes are pretty much my main form of entertainment, so I've got much lower standards, to be honest.
Yeah.
I tend to be quite impressed with them a lot of the time. I need to watch more films.
You probably do. I recommend going to the cinema.
I don't like that. Strangers, loud, dark, noisy.
Yeah,
expensive.
But the film I watched this week started with ELO being danced to during an opening battle.
Well, that's quite cool.
So yeah, what more could you ask for?
I'm going to talk about Path of Exile.
Okay.
Yes, I've fired that out. Again, it's just a sort of weird, I remember that, nostalgia sort of thing. Path of Exile, very serviceable Diablo clone.
Yeah.
Free to play as well. I don't quite understand how they make their money. It's a massive online thing as well. You'll see loads of people in lobbies in between towns and stuff, but it's a sort of solo instance thing. Top-down corner view type of thing. 3D models, not sprites, because it's not 1990 whatever. But... very good. I'm liking it a lot. It's got the usual array of classes and your 3 stats: the blue one, the red one, and the green one.
Okay.
It's just so negligible. It does very well at the basic flow, the basic gameplay. Like I say, the basic gameplay of it. That the thing you're doing to play the game is executed well and interesting, and you've got all sorts of various interesting abilities. I'm going through with a witch, which is
which witch?
That witch. The witch class is the sort of high magic user, and has all sorts of elemental effects, fireballs, lightning, etc.
Can witches be high magic?
And I've
Doesn't
got
really work.
there isn't a wizard or anything like that. So they've tried. I think they've tried to really differentiate themselves from the Diablo classes, but
By
they
renaming
do,
them.
Yeah, by renaming them largely. Yeah.
That sums up the last 30 years of game design, doesn't it?
Try not to be Blizzard by changing all the names. Yeah, I mean, if you abstract it all out into numbers and colours and functional mathematics, it all does work very well. But the witch gets the minion stuff instead of what would have been a necromancer class. So I've been doing it all with that, so raising zombies and skeletons and whatnot to charge around and basically get them all, have an army of my own to do the fighting, which makes it quite a fascinating experience. Because I played through before with a ranger, which is stand there, shoot. But just sort of standing at the back and almost doing it like a kind of high-paced RTS is actually quite fascinating.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far I've ever gotten through there. I'm on to Act 2 or 3. It's got the same act structure as Diablo, of course. Yes, it's just a very cathartic sort of way to bash out like half an hour here and there. It's not. I mean, the overall story of it, or you've been exiled onto this remote continent for whatever, blah blah blah
reasons.
And then there are some monsters. I think there was a story. I probably wasn't paying as much attention as I could. One thing I do like about Path of Exile is its character perks screen, which there might be some off on the video you might be seeing, but is one of the most insanely complicated grids of putting pips in I've ever seen anywhere. And I've played Final Fantasy 13, which had that weird sort of three-dimensional crystal thing with bits coming out everywhere. I mean, it's that order of magnitude, but what they've done is they've just laid all of the perks and increments and abilities out in one two-dimensional grid, and it's terrifying. And you get 1 point every level to spend on that grid, and it increases your stats or adds abilities to monsters and all this sort of thing. Interesting socketing gems type thing. Your hotkey abilities come from the gems that you socket into your equipment, which you can pull out and put back in, and the gems themselves level up, which means the associated ability gets slightly more powerful. And also, if the equipment you've got has got linked sockets, you can put support gems in, which are sort of passive buffs to some of the active abilities. So, for example, I've got a robe that's got 3 blue slots. I can put 3 blue gems in there, and the blue gems are all the magic-y powers. So one of them will be the raise zombies, one of them the raise skeletons. If they're all linked together, you can put in the one that's linked to them both a make all my minions more powerful support gem. And there's all sorts of interesting ones that sort of mix and match. You could put lightning spells, lightning boost support gems into other types of attack. The class's abilities cross between as well. So, although I wouldn't be very good at it because I picked witch, some of the classes are hybrids that will use green and red at the same time, or blue and red at the same time. And you can use some of the support gems across. It's a really complicated and interesting build structure there. I guess for like PvP or high-end stuff, it becomes quite the theory craftable game, which is interesting. I'm fascinated by numbers and their application, so that's keeping me quite interested there. They got BL Cash Shop with a load of cosmetic stuff in a game where you're spend almost all your time in instances. I don't know. I don't understand how they make their money or how it keeps going, but presumably the cash. I haven't seen any obvious power pay to win type stuff in this cash shop, and I've not seen any.
If you're happy with the 0.01% income, then
I'm not invested enough to care. No, I suppose, but I haven't seen any large scale content that's behind a paywall particularly. But then I've not finished the main game, and it's been out for a couple of years. Presumably there are expansions or further zones or whatever. I don't know.
You have to pay 40 quid to unlock the end cutscene.
Maybe.
Genius.
No, I think I've seen that used actually. That was Prince of Persia 2013 one, or 2003. The Prince of Persia reboot one. The entire DLC additional act was behind basically the resolution of the big story. It finishes on a cliffhanger which is resolved in a big DLC expansion, and that they got so much hassle for that. It's brilliant. But I'm quite enjoying it. It is multiplayer. You can play in small teams. They got all sorts of really complicated and involved leagues and ladders and tournament stuff going on as well. So I don't know if it's esports per se, but there is a kind of weird sort of divisions and leagues thing.
Getting back to earlier about the whole how do you keep people playing, having that kind of thing is a really nice way of doing it.
Well, it's definitely an in-depth and more advanced way of thinking. Presumably if you're been all the way way through it and done everything and are really good at it and are playing in hardcore mode anyway, then yeah, you can sign on for these, I don't know what they are, competitions for cash or something. And again, I'm not quite sure. There's a whole depth to this game that is you wouldn't imagine. I mean, I sort of kept meaning to have a look at Diablo 3, but never really got round to it because it was never really that interesting. Well, I got Torchlight 2 as well, which I haven't finished, and
Diablo 3 is interesting.
Basically the same thing as well.
The problem I have is the amount of content those games have and the amount of repeated content they have are not comfortable numbers for me.
There's a lot of reuse of assets going on in Path of Exile, certainly. A lot of these caves look quite similar, and the monsters are the same but different colours and so on, You get a lot of that anyway. You get a lot of that in Diablo as well. That's part of the genre.
Diablo's somewhat worse, I'd say. But, when it feels like you're constantly doing the same things in the same place... then that I really bounce off that.
Well, that's when you start to come down to the finesse of the moment-to-moment gameplay. If you're enjoying sort of wading through monsters, using your abilities to cause damage and wading through incoming monsters in an elegant and efficient style, then that works well. You could keep doing that for a couple of hours. It doesn't really matter how you're doing story-wise or where you're at to in the overall scheme of it all. But that's still playing that. I could see me trying to push for. I don't think I'll finish it this time either because I think I'm quite flighty these days. But I could say see myself pushing forward, try and beat my personal best in terms of onward progression. I think I've got somewhere into Act 3 possibly. So looking forward to trying to get to the end. Maybe I don't know. I picked up a character I hadn't got very far with though. So, repeating a fair bit, but that's okay, getting back into it. And it does handle in an entirely different way with the different classes using the different mechanics.
That's good.
Using all the minions and the zombies and stuff. That seems to work quite well. Enjoying that. So, how do you?
I had a thought.
Yeah.
I did actually play another game.
Okay.
There's absolutely no visual clues in this room as to what it is that would possibly trigger my memory as to having played this game.
Okay.
I played Dawn of War 3.
Dawn of War 3.
There's absolutely nothing out of camera shot here that could clue me into, or even behind me.
How is that? Because I heard a lot of mixed things about Dawn of War 2, which sort of somehow managed to contrive to be some kind of Diablo type thing, or Baldur's Gate type of adventure.
Borderlands 2, Dawn of War 2, which...
I never played it.
Basically, the first one was large scale combat.
Yes, did like the first one a lot.
Yeah, the second one went down the more Company of Heroes route,
yes,
with smaller squads. And
small squad, and you were sort of leveling them up like heroes and stuff.
This is more than 2, but not as much as 1, and nowhere near as War Total Warhammer War.
Okay, I do like base
building.
I
really want War Total Warhammer War. It's added base building back in. The single player, base building is sort of back to you can place down where you want.
Yeah.
I haven't managed to do a base rush yet because I don't think you can.
Well, you couldn't really do it in the first game either. It was quite a sort of hybrid base building type of thing because it was all structured around specific fixed nodes of resource rather than just go out, harvest Tiberium, put your stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it's by no means the game I want it to be, but that's not a reason that it's a bad game.
Okay.
There are other reasons. No, I don't know if it's a bad game. I haven't made up my mind. I really want something else from it. The multiplayer is basically a really, really bad MOBA. And so I'm never going to touch the multiplayer because I don't need to play a bad MOBA. If I want to play a good MOBA, I will play a good MOBA. I'm not going to play a bad one.
It's not that there aren't enough of them out there.
Exactly. It doesn't matter that I can paint my Marines to be the same colour as whatever chapter I'm pretending to paint that
Well, that's
week.
the least you'd expect from a Space Marine battle
With all
game.
the proper colours.
Well, yeah. I mean, the first game had that. It had a unit painter thing.
But it's not enough units for my liking. The units aren't necessarily right either.
Well, if you wait long enough, I'm sure there'll be some DLC for you.
Yeah, and
additional Necrons and whatever.
But the moment-to-moment gameplay is okay. I don't like what they've done with cover, but I understand what they've done with cover, and it still works. Okay. The base building is not quite where I want it to be, but base building in no game has base building I want anymore. There is no RTS, I don't think, in the last however many years that has the sort of thing I want.
Well, that kind of thing's moved over to your city builders, your Anno games, and that kind of thing.
But even so, I want to do a turret rush.
Yeah,
turret rush is my favourite tactic.
I think that probably was a broken thing.
If you could pull that off in a game, it's really, really funny.
Well, yeah,
but it's probably broken.
Probably not intended.
It starts off. You're Gabriel Byrne or whoever it is.
Yeah.
Commander Captain Gabriel or
Oh,
whatever.
right. Yeah.
And you've got a big...
It's Blood Ravens again.
Yeah, of course it's the Blood Ravens. I hate the
Right.
Blood Ravens.
Uh-huh.
Such a nothing chapter.
Well, they had to invent one for the game.
They didn't. They could have used anyone if they wanted to. And he's got a thunder hammer, which means every attack he uses throws orcs everywhere when he's fighting orcs. And that's a little bit tiresome.
That doesn't sound like it would ever get old.
It does. It gets old really quickly. Because you send in your 2 assault marine squads on either side, not very realistic, they are effective. And then he wanders in and we'll just randomly, bang, boom, all the orcs in.
I see, yeah.
Then
Do you mind? We were fighting those.
Yeah. I have everything under control. I didn't need you to help. And if you don't use him, it gets really, really hard because he just sort of stands back. It's, I don't know. I don't understand the hate for it. Well, I understand the hate for it because the internet's full of...
There's hate for it? Oh, well, it's the internet. There's hate for everything.
If something isn't quite what people want, then it is the worst thing ever. People should die.
You've ruined this forever.
Obviously, they killed your puppy when you were a kid.
Yeah,
therefore, you have an awful lot of resentment.
A lot of caps lock action there.
What happened to judging games on what they are, not what you wanted them to be?
I don't know.
Yeah. But, I don't know. It's not great. It's not amazing. I think it's better than 2, but I'm not entirely sure yet because I need to play it a lot more to know.
Okay.
It's definitely not as good as 1, although when you go back and play 1 now, 1 has aged badly.
It is quite an old game, yeah.
It's a very old game.
But I did like it a lot, yeah.
Yeah. I want something else. And I know...
So what's the last RTS you played to comparisons? It does it to Karak?
Yeah, much better game.
That is better.
You sold a fraction of the copies. Has no base building at all.
Yeah.
But I found that a much more enjoyable game. But then again, I didn't finish that either, so... But apart from that, the last game I played, which was anywhere close to what I want, is Total Warhammer, and I want that in 40k, please.
That's an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't.
Well, the problem is that Total War is Creative Assembly, and the license is controlled.
It's just a license thing.
The license is controlled by Sega.
Well, that does
Whereas
sound like
Dawn of War is Relic, and the license is controlled by Sega. And there's no reason apart from the fact that Relic make Dawn of War. If Dawn of War didn't exist, then we could have a 40k game. Because
Total Warhammer was very popular.
Yeah, it
sold a lot.
I don't know if it sold as many as I should really check.
It probably sold enough to warrant another adventure of a similar nature. So why not 40k version of it?
It sold enough to warrant the sequel coming out next year.
Yeah, I think a total 40k Hammer would certainly make its money back.
Yeah, I would buy it. That's the game I want, and no one's making that game, and it makes me sad.
Because it's essentially that would hook into the sort of epic scale tabletop stuff.
Exactly.
With actual titans, you know, Titan and the tiny little soldiers who are that big.
The problem is that Dawn of War 3 is trying to be the tabletop game, but it's not, because it doesn't have any of the tactical flexibility. It's all, go here, do this, go here, do this. It doesn't have any of that, okay, I'm going to be fainting around, remember, all that stuff.
It's still trying to be a computer game, still trying to be an RTS.
Yeah, it's too much like a computer game than it is the tabletop game. If you go for a smaller number of people, compare it against Shadow War Armageddon, which is their new Necromunda release, or anyway, there are smaller iPhone games which try and do that but fail. But it's still too big for that.
To be honest, you'd be best if you want a computer-based interpretation of an actual game of 40k. You're best off with Tabletop Simulator.
Exactly.
And there are trust me, there are loads of 40k armies that somehow have avoided DCMA takedowns on the Steam Workshop there, and you would it is literally just a tabletop, move the pieces about. And in the same, I've talked about it loads in the past, how we play board games on there, it is literally board game. It is just a board and tokens, and you now, move the stuff around yourself.
And now I've got the hand things for VR, so I can do that. Playing it in VR properly, we're picking up the pieces.
Oh wow, yeah. So
I should do that.
So yeah, if you actually want 40k, there's a different approach there that you actually need to recreate pieces and tiles and a physical moving space.
I'm not sure,
and just let it go at that.
No, I'm not sure. I think that there is a more 40k-ish experience in a computer game,
because that's always
which people haven't done. And I think that there's a different direction you can go down, which will make it more along those lines. Yeah, and not make it quite so.
So Dawn of War, then, essentially we're going to judge it as an RTS rather than an interpretation of 40k, because there's better and different ways to do it.
It's never going to be an interpretation of 40k. Yeah. It's really hard not to make that comparison to the games you play of it, and it doesn't really compare, and that's not quite right. It needs to be a bit more like it and a bit less like Company Heroes and those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm pretty much out of stuff to talk about.
I'm out of rants as well, because I've just offended all of the...
driven everyone away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Eurovision this weekend.
Is it?
Coming up, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when you're going to publish this, but...
way before that, yeah.
Yes, we'll be doing our usual not Steam. We don't do it on
Mumble.
Steam, we're not that big yet. No, Mumble, yes, we'll have a little Mumble.
Steam doesn't have loads to go. Yeah, anyway.
Yes, so probably be a bit of a Mumble heckle along for Eurovision. Should be good.
And to answer everyone's questions, the reason why we haven't moved over to Discord yet is we'd like it to work.
I don't know what... I've seen people talk about Discord. It's probably a thing.
There's still far too many people saying Discord has problems when they try and do stuff that I don't want to touch it for a while.
I think Discord's big draw is that they offer free hosting, essentially. So
Yeah.
people don't want to run a dedicated server, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap up then.
Okay, if you go along to YouTube, you can catch this and our other stuff, and also our second channel, which I'm going to start this week.
Oh, sounds exciting.
I better say what it is then. Yeah, what I'm going to do is, because we want to do more tabletop stuff, the longer form tabletop stuff is going to be on that channel. This will still have us talking about board games and stuff, but if there's something like a battle report or something from a game, or a longer us playing a game and talking about it in depth, or discussing the rules of a game in depth, we'll put it over there. And I'm also going to use it as a futile motivation for my hobby progress.
Jolly good.
And you can go along to howtomurdertime.com, where you can also subscribe to the podcast and the previous podcast, and then you can go along to iTunes if you want and leave us a review. Thanks to people who have. It helps because problem is everyone's reviewed it before, and so the gets recommended less, and because there aren't new reviews, so we need new reviews so it gets recommended more.
Right.
Otherwise it just drops down the list.
Which sounds like a bad thing.
It is quite a bad thing. I don't think we're on the same page as Gardeners Question Time anymore.
Oh, God.
We used to be.
We used to be contenders.
We might still be, actually. I need to check. Yeah, and if you join us next week, we'll be...
It's the book one next week, is it?
Oh, it's the book?
Yeah, I think.
If you join us next week, I'll have started the book.
You should probably start reading the book.
Yes, which is Neuromancer.
Neuromancer.
Yeah, so if you want to come along and have somebody's opinion of why they don't particularly like Neuromancer, then that'll be fantastic. And why two other people really like Neuromancer, I assume.
So with that, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.